often. Fewer frequent flyer flights for White House Chief of Staff John Sununu. Saddam says no to UN peacekeeping forces in northern Iraq, and charges against William Kennedy Smith and a Florida tabloid in the Palm Beach rape case. This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting. Good evening. President Bush is limiting somewhat John Sununu's frequent flying on U.S. military planes at public expense. Under pressure and criticism, the president is out with a new travel policy. Among other things, it requires the White House Chief of Staff now to get advance permission for some trips. Susan Spencer has our report.
Air Sununu had its wings clipped a bit today when the White House issued a new policy for travel on military planes. Because the president may need him, Chief of Staff John Sununu should fly on military aircraft, it says, in many instances. But White House lawyers will decide when, not Sununu himself. Political travel will be more restricted, as will personal travel. Sununu's trips to the dentist, for example, won't qualify. But when trips do, reimbursement is still at commercial rates, though military flights may cost 10 times as much. Critics charge that having the White House make these rulings looks a bit like the fox guarding the chicken coop.
It just doesn't hold up to have the White House counsel reviewing the White House Chief of Staff.
Though allowing 2 trips to Aspen and Vail, the review of Sununu's past travels questions 7 other outings Sununu called official. The review calls that innocent misunderstandings, but nonetheless demanded $6,000 back. Among those trips, part of one that included the Indy 500 and a ski excursion in New Hampshire.
And I think it goes a long way. What it does is to ground Air Sununu for at least a lot of its routes, particularly the ones to ski trips and to political functions.
Sununu, off tonight to a speech via military plane, declared himself vindicated. The president has several times expressed support for Sununu, but he had no comment on today's review. It may excuse the chief of staff from any technical wrongdoing, but few doubt that it has cost him dearly when it comes to political points with the one man who matters. Susan Spencer, CBS News, the White House.
The president's doctors now say his heartbeat problem was triggered by Graves' disease. This is the same overactive thyroid condition that Mrs. Bush has, and it is treatable with medication. The president was given a dose of radioactive iodine today. Mr. Bush has been told by his doctors to slow down his work schedule, at least for the present. Saddam Hussein was talking tough, acting tough again today, and he made a bid to trap U.S. forces in a quagmire in northern Iraq. While Iraqi troops faced off against GIs, Saddam rejected plans for a UN force to replace the allies in the Kurdish region. Bill Plant covered today's developments in Washington.
Dan, the UN Secretary General brought some bad news for President Bush's plan to bring U.S. troops home quickly from northern Iraq. U.S. forces, as you know, have been protecting Kurdish refugees who want to come home. But the administration has been counting on replacing them with a UN police force. And today, Saddam Hussein sent a clear signal that the UN is not welcome.
Today I have received a very clear rejection from the Iraqi government. They do not want a United Nations police presence in the area.
But without some kind of outside peace force, the Kurds won't come back. And the president says he doesn't want U.S. troops bogged down indefinitely in northern Iraq.
We have always looked at this relief effort as limited in duration, and we look forward to working with the UN to hasten the day when all these refugees can return home.
The administration wants to go ahead and set up some kind of UN civilian police force, whether Baghdad agrees or not, which Iraq's ambassador to the UN denounces as unjustified interference.
Could you tell me whether the U.S. would welcome to have an international police come to protect, the minorities and certain cities, whether in Washington or some other city?
U.S. policy is still to seek a quick way out of northern Iraq. But Saddam's refusal to accept any kind of replacement force may make that impossible. Dan?